大家好，欢迎来到老克勒书房。今朝是阿拉个读书会。Today, I want to try something special. I want to read this book review use English because I write it in English, but I don't know I can pronounce very well. Read this book review in English. I will try. Okay. In this modern digital age, the endless supply of social media has overwhelmed one of the most precious hobbies humans possess. It's reading. Therefore, in order to cultivate my son's interest in reading, I became a great trader like President Trump and made a deal with him. Exchange his reading time for his screen time. It also adopts a library model where you can get stamps for reading books. Every set of 5 stamps can be used to buy a book at the bookstore. As my son loves watching TV, playing games, and shopping, the deal is exactly what he wants. However, I have to read every book he has read. So that when he asked me about something he didn't understand, I can have a targeted answer, and also I can prevent him from the cutting corners when reading his book review. In this way, I started reading children's books. I have already read the Over Second World War and The Little Prince. But in that time, the deal hadn't happened yet. So, strictly speaking, it should start with this book, Tyger by S.F. Said. Yes, this book. Okay, you will see in this book, the tiger here with Y instead of I is an old spelling first used by William Blake in his poem The Tyger, as the opposite of natural of harmony, emphasizing the impact between the industrialized society and natural. Coincidentally, this book, also named Tyger, also describes the relationship between the post-industrial British Empire and the people. But this time, Tyger represents the people. Okay, when I was recording my article, the formal article, looking at the mainland people's associations from the news, has the end of the dynasty really arrived? This article, I mentioned the association of this book, but I made a small mistake of the pronunciation. To pronouncing the author's name as the S.F. said, you will see that, S.F. said. The correct pronunciation should be S.F. Said. This also explains my confusion about this book. In this book, the author divides the society of the British Empire into 3 categories: the upper class, the commoners, and the foreigners. Among the foreigners, the author focuses on Africa and Arabic Muslims, but he didn't mention the Asia or non-Muslims group at all. This is obviously incorrect for the politically correct people. However, after I read the author's name correctly, the doubt was resolved. S.F. Said is a British Muslim author in the Middle Eastern background, who was born in Beirut and spent his first year in Jordan. He describes his origins as the Iraqi, Egyptian, Kurdish, and Caucasian. He grew up in London. After graduating from the University of Cambridge, he worked as a press attaché and speech writer for the Crown Prince of Jordan's office in London for 6 years. He began a PhD in 1997 and started to look at the lives of young Muslims in Britain. Finally, he left academia to focus on the film journalism for the Daily Telegraph and on writing for children. SF Said has published 4 novels for children thus far. His first book was published at the 2003 Tyger. His 4th book won Children's Book in the Year at 2023 British Book Awards and the Week Junior Book Awards, and was Watchstone's Children's Book of the Month for September 2023. As a children's book, the plot is definitely beyond doubt, and the right and wrong are clear at a glance. The story is set during the high day in the British Empire, when the Muslims could only live in the ghetto and had to pass through the checkpoints to get the city. All British people despised people of different skin colors who had already become British citizens. And during the inclusion movement in the Industrial Revolution, countless British citizens lost their homes and were sent to the debtor jail. The author places all these facts in a world that is almost magical. Tyger is naturally the side of justice and the vessel of immortal. She told children to recognize their own abilities, to use these abilities to strive to create a society where everyone is equal. The villains are, of course, the lords, the capitalists. Tyger taught children the ability to change the world. These abilities actually exist in human daily life. The author intends to let children understand that everyone has the ability to change everything. These abilities are perception, imagination, and creation. The author insightfully captures the extraordinary abilities that make humans human. Observing how everything works, letting imagination run wild, then creating an unparalleled world. Isn't this what humans have always been doing? The story is still old-fashioned, of course, but under political correctness, we can't ask for more. The illustrations in the book are drawn by British artist Dave Mackin. His work incorporates drawing, painting, photograph, collage, digital art, and sculpture. He has illustrated works by various authors and collaborated on numerous comic books. Also, I don't really like his modern style, but there is no doubt that the combination of the illustrations and text increase children's interest in reading. Undoubtedly, the main thing of this book is resistance. Resistance against the tyranny, the resistance against the injustice, and the resistance against the discrimination. and the weapon of the vulnerable groups are always very simple. That is their love. A love that embraces everything. A love that transforms hatred into unity. A love that is selfless and giving. In fact, this is not just in this book. Almost all West children's books are cultivating children's spirit to resistance and ability to love. This social logic has penetrated into every aspect of Western education. Children who grow up with such education will first become a real person. Let's take a look at education in mainland China. Do you remember that Mother's Day message in my last record? They say, "Mother, please don't give birth to me in the next life. I don't want to experience the oppression of Chinese education again. Please, let me go." This is the difference, not between the East and the West, just between the global, the whole world, and China mainland. Thank you. 今天就到这里，谢谢大家。